Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel here in the middle of the week. Today we're going to have a quick look at some sector rotation. We're going to have a look at what sectors we might want to pick some stocks in the upcoming time. Now what I'm going to use today is I'm going to use a simple trading view here. I'm going to use the My Stock Scanner. And we're going to have a little chat about overall sector rotation. This is not because it's a complete fixed science, but there are some good truths in here. And what we can see here are two waves. We can see the orange-brown one here. That is the overall stock market. That can be at a market bottom, at a bull market, at a market top, or in a bear market. And then we have the blue one here that is showing the economy. And remember, the stock market and the economy, there are two different things. So here we can see we have a full recession. We have the early recovery in the economy, full recovery, and early recession. Now, many people think that we are somewhere up here, somewhere between a full recovery and an early recession in the economy. We might actually be a bit further down here, but I've addressed that in an earlier video where I'm saying that the actually growth in the economy is negative if we deduct the inflation. But that is another story. So what we're going to have a look at today is what sort of sectors have been strong and what we think will be strong in the upcoming time here. Well, right now, there is no doubt that technology and communication services have really been running fast. That is due to the AI and everything. You have seen Meta and Alphabet and Nvidia and so on and so forth, and they have really been running fast. Maybe that have been a bit atypical, but let's have a look at what we can find in the different sectors. So have a look at that. I have made a list here in TradingView, a watch list of sector ETFs. And these are the big US ones. So they all start with XL. And then we have XLE, that's the energy, XLF, that's financial, and so on and so forth. Down here, I have a little diagram, and it's an indicator I got programmed a while ago. But this simply looks at this the ETFs here, and it is comparing it to the SPX, meaning that, for instance, energy over the last 30 days have underperformed S&P 500 by 10.81%. Over the last 20 days, only 3.8%, and over the last 10 days, around 1.3%. So we can see that energy is underperforming less and less, meaning that it is picking up speed. So if we start with the first one, we have the XLE, we have energy, and it actually indicates that energy could be picking a bit up. Now, energy, of course, is tied very strictly to the oil, the natural gas, and so on. And there is a lot of pressure on that right now. We saw that the OPEC Plus the other day came out. They are doing a cut in the production. And even though they did that, the energy prices kept dropping. But the energy, if you're just looking at this one, is definitely seeming to be underperforming less and less, meaning that it is picking up speed here. Now, if we are going in here, let's just find the right ETF. In here, XLE coming up here, we can see that looking at the colors down here on the TPI, we're not looking at the long-term trend right now. We are only looking at the weekly and maybe a bit on the daily. And the weekly right now is definitely indicating that the energy is moving upwards a bit. I know it doesn't seem like that here, but that is because it's not an ordinary indicator. It's based on statistics. We did see that we should be out of energy here back in April. And then we can see it's starting to bottoming out. This is a bit like an oversold basically, but it tells us that statistically buyers should soon start to come in. And we were told here from the end of May that energy could be an interesting play in the upcoming weeks. So what we can see right now is that energy might be forming a bit of a higher bottom here and might be moving upwards. So it's not that it's completely impossible to make money in the energy sector right now, but there are some lids up here that we might bump into, but there might be a 5 to 10% uptick in the energy ETF here, or we can go in and have a look at individual energy stocks. So right now that could be allowed to find individual energy stocks. Let's jump further on to financials. If we're looking at financials down here, we can see they have underperformed the S&P 500 over the last 10, 20 and 30 days, but they are close to break even. We can see that they're forming higher bottoms, so financials are definitely looking interesting here. And moving into the XLF in our stock scanner here, looking at the TPI, we can have a look at it here, and we can see that going from a red zone where we were not allowed to touch it, it went straight into a green zone here, both on the weekly and the daily, and we have actually seen a rise of 2-3% since then. We might be a bit in the overbought area here, but nothing really severe, so that is something we can have a look at. And I noticed yesterday and today that financial stocks are actually moving upwards. So financials might be a place we could find. And actually 2 of the swing trading candidates we have in the portfolio right now are financials as far as I recall. So we can have a look at that later. The XLK is a technology, and I don't think there's any doubt that that had been moving up since New Year here. That had really been tearing everything apart. Looking at the technology here, we can see over 30 days it outperformed by 9%, 20 days by 6%, and 10 days by 3%. So it is as if it is outperforming less and less, maybe losing a bit of steam. But let's try and have a look at XLK in here. So, and that has gone into a red zone here. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to crash, not at all. We can see here there have been red zones where we have just been moving sideways. It's just to say that if I were to pick specific single stocks from a single sector, it might not be technology I would choose for the next week or so before I see if this is going sideways or diving a bit. We do like to see both the market lifting the stock and the sector lifting the stock. So there's no need for picking shares that are in a complete dangerous zone here, as we can see in this area here where we went to dark red. There were not, it was just going sideways. So when we have waited until this turned green, we could have picked some really good tech stocks here and gotten some extra gains. So the XLK, I would not swing trade stocks from the technology sector right now. I would choose some of the others. But let's go on and see what we can find. There's the healthcare, and interestingly enough, healthcare is definitely picking up steam here. We can see that the bottoms here, it is higher lows, but there's also a lower high, which means it's going into a bit of a triangle here that we should be wary of. We can see that the healthcare down here is underperforming, but it's doing it less and less. So it is doing fairly well. And looking at the sector here, healthcare, we can see that it has gone into green. It has been in a bit of an oversold for an area, statistically speaking, saying that, all right, we might start to look for some buying opportunities in the healthcare. And actually one of the swing trading stocks that I made a video about this Monday is in the healthcare. That is the X-ray display. So from this week we actually went into a green zone, and that is where I had my swing trading candidate on. So that is allowed, and the healthcare I think is moving up for a little while now. But this is an interesting area to see what will be happening in the future. Moving on, we have the XLP, that is the consumer staples, and normally the consumer staples are stocks that we know there is a demand for, or there is a demand for the product, no matter what time it is. It is all the day-to-day necessities, and that one is having higher and higher lows here, so that is quite interesting. has had a big drop at the same time as the tech have really run fast here the last months or so, but it is as if it is bottoming a bit out. Looking at the stables down here, it has been underperforming a lot, but is now underperforming a bit less. And over here, XLP, it is actually one of the sectors where I think we can find some interesting swing trading candidates in the upcoming times. If we look at this, it has moved into a light red, meaning it's telling us statistically we should soon be looking for something to happen here. There might be coming buyers in. So the stables are definitely something I will be looking at in my next video about swing trades, because I think there can be a bump up in this one. Moving on, we have the XLU, that is the utilities, also a sector that is normally very good in a bit nervous times, because that is water, electricity, all of this stuff that we really need no matter how the economy is doing. And it is as if it is meeting a bit of support here. Running over here in the XLU, here we have the utilities, and that one is turned up in the dark green. It has been telling us for a while that with the light red we should soon be looking for buyers, but it has turned into green now. So utilities might also be a sector where I will be looking for swing trading candidates if the market allows it. We should not just buy utilities and stables without there being some very good setups, but I think it is interesting to have a look at. Then we have the consumer discretionaries, and that is the, you could say, the opposite of the stables. They have also been running quite fast lately here, and we have been able to find some very good stocks in this run up here. We have even broken some resistance here. But what I think might happen if we are going into an area where the communication and the technology is topping a bit out and maybe breathing a bit more, just letting go, retracing a bit, we might also see the consumer discretionaries. So a swing trade in the consumer discretionary should be very good. We need to be a bit picky here, because I think we could get a retracement down to the 150 area here. XLY coming up here, and we are seeing here that it has been dark green here for a while, also on the long-term trend actually, but has been the dark green for a while here. So we have been allowed to look for trends here. Then it turned into light green. We can still look for swing trading candidates. We should just be aware that we are now in the area where sellers might be coming in a bit suddenly. But there have been some good trades in here, but I would be a bit cautious about choosing swing trading candidates from the discretionary here. Then we have the XLY, that is XLY here. And that is, of course, the industrials. Now, the industrials is a bit messy, you could say. There is just a huge area here where we don't see any specific trends. You could both argue for lower highs and higher lows and everything here. There is a bit messy. I would not really look for anything specific here, but we can have XLI here. If I can get the X in there. XLI industrials here, and as you can see, it has turned green, but you can also see there's no specific trend here, and it's always a bit it's a bit dangerous trying to pick a trend candidate, a swing trend candidate in a market like this. So I would personally stay out of the industrials here. Then we have the XLB. There's only 3 left here, so let's have a quick look at them. The XLB, the materials, well, if you should pick a trend, there could be a downtrend here, but you could also pick an uptrend somewhere here, depending on where you want to draw your lines. So let's have a look at what the TPI tells us in here. The materials coming up here. That has been in an area where we could start looking for buyers. Now it is in a dark green area, so the materials, well, it is in a dark green, but it is in a bit of a messy area here. So I think I would rather choose some of the others that are a bit more clear. Then we have the communication service, and that is a strong trend if you ever saw one here. And that is, of course, a lot of the tech stocks that are in the communication services here that we have seen lately just exploding upwards here. And there have definitely been some good swing trading candidates in here. The question is, are we about to see a bit of a bend in this trend here? And if we look at the communication services as well as the technology, we can see it outperformed a lot over 30 days, a bit less over 20 days. And in the communication service here over the last 10 days, it seems like S&P 500 is catching up on it. And it might be some of the other sectors that is in turn for a swing up right now. My guess is that we might soon see a bit of a retracement here, not necessarily a crash down and 20% down, not at all, but there's just a natural movement between ebb and flow in these waves, and that is what we are trying to count our way into in the TPI. And this one just seems like a bit overextended. But have a look here in the XLC coming up here. And we can see that has been in a very good trend. We can see that in the red zone here, it also went a bit up, but also a bit sideways. Then we got into the dark green, moving up, and we are still in the light green. So it's not impossible to pick a good swing trading candidate there. It's just that there might be other sectors that are a bit more prone for an uptick. Then we have the last one, that is a real estate, XLRE. And that is maybe still in a bit downtrend here. You should also always be a bit cautious on where you draw your lines here. So I try just to put them in a bit of a broader area. So that one is in a triangle, and we don't really know where it is going. It's both making lower highs, but it's also making higher lows. So that is a bit of a sign that investors are not completely sure what to do with that one. The last one here, the real estate, let's have a look at it. Well, it has been in a red trend here. We were told for a week or so that we should start looking for buyers potentially, but now we are in a dark green, and we don't really know if we are going to bounce into some sort of a resistance here. I would not pick some real estate for my swing trade. I would definitely, just to end this shortly, I would look for some utilities. I might look for some stables, and I'm not completely ruling out a tech or a communication service stock, but they are just at a very, very overextended level. If we are looking very quickly at the swing candidates that we have on our list right now, they are here. We have the affiliate managers group here, and that is showing some very good strength. It's going up nicely. That is in the tech area as far as I recall. We have the Arthur Gallagher, which is in the finance here. And we have the X-ray. I might be mistaken about one of these sectors, but and we have the X-ray here, the densely, that is in the medical, also in a very good uptrend here. So as long as they keep in a good uptrend, we are staying with them. But of course, I will be writing on the Facebook groups and so on if I do something in these, and I will make an update on Friday so you can see how the week have been in these swing trading stocks. So basically, what I'm saying here is that I am mainly looking at some healthcare, utilities, stables, maybe a bit of financials here. That is where we are positioned right now. And it's not that we can't take any of these, but it is as if many of the stocks that are popping up right now, that is a potential upswing, are in this end of the sectors. So that is very interesting. Also looking at the overall picture of early recession and potential bear market bottoming out here. And I'll let you know. I'll get you some new 2, 3, 4 swing trading candidates on Monday. And as I said, on Friday, I'll make an update as to how our swing trading candidates have been doing this week. All right, that's all for now. I hope this was a bit of education and motivation for you. As always, feel free to write your questions underneath the video. Also, remember to like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll talk to you again shortly. Take care of yourself and your money out there. Bye.